Hi, everyone. We're on Patreon. Find the link in the show notes. Show off your love for being curious with the official Info on the Go merch.
Whether you're sipping your coffee from our sleek mug, staying warm in one of our cozy hoodies, or rocking that fun fact inspired t shirt, or just carrying one of your essentials in our reusable tote bag, you'll be repping curiosity and style everywhere you go.
Each item is designed with our curious, on the go community in mind, and every purchase helps support the show. Wear it, sip it, carry it. Info on the Go is more than a podcast, it's a way of life.
Patreon, find the link in the show notes. Hi, I'm William,
And I'm Kat,
and that makes this Info on the Go.
answering questions you want to know. Okay, William, how many times a day do you come in contact with plastic?
That's kind of a hard question because plastic is in almost everything.
Mm-hmm. Almost everything. Exactly. Water bottles, soda bottles, single use bags from the stores, and the list goes on and on.
So, question for you. Where does all that plastic go when it goes into the trash?
Plastic crisis on this episode of Info on the Go.
So, first, who invented plastic?
Leo Hendrik Baekeland's creation of Bakelite in 1907 marked a revolutionary leap forward in the development of synthetic materials.
Unlike earlier plastics, which relied on modifying natural substances, Bakelite was completely synthetic, crafted through a chemical reaction between phenol and formaldehyde.
Baekeland called it the material of a thousand uses, recognizing its potential to transform modern manufacturing and daily life.
And how did it? I mean, it went into everything because
Everything.
I think we're going to do another episode on the history of plastics, but not to give too much or spoil too much here, but the plastics before were just not moldable until Bakelin come along with his revolutionary Bakelite.
Hmm.
And there's a story behind how he came up with this, and we'll save that for the plastics episode. While Bakelite was the first fully synthetic plastic, it wasn't humanity's first encounter with plastic materials.
Really?
No.
Earlier plastics, such as Parkesine, were derived from organic substances in 1862. Alexander Parks showcased Parkesine, made from cellulose, at the International Exhibition in London.
You know, there's a common theme that we keep running across. Somebody invented something and then someone else kind of improved upon it later on. Have you
I mean,
noticed that?
that's science. That's how we evolve and grow.
Yeah. Although innovative, these early plastics lacked the versatility and stability of Bakelite, as they were more prone to degrading over time.
Mm. Bakelite heralded the dawn of the plastic age, paving the way for the development of countless other synthetic polymers that have since reshaped industries ranging from packaging to healthcare.
Its introduction underscored the power of chemistry to create entirely new materials, launching a wave of innovation that continues to influence technology today. And I
Well,
would say, I mean, we listed just a handful of things that plastics in, but plastics are in your vehicles, they're in your computers, they're probably on the device you're listening to the show on.
absolutely. While plastic was groundbreaking, and honestly, it's made most of our lives easy with everyday items.
I would say so. That is a very true statement.
Hmm.
My coffee maker thanks me every morning when I get up, or I thank my coffee maker every morning when I get up and make myself a cup of coffee, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
And my microwave, my refrigerator, my vehicle.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anyway, all right. So, but there is a concern where it goes once it's been used.
Where does it go? The plastic crisis refers to the overwhelming environmental and health issues caused by plastic production, consumption, and waste.
So it stems from the massive global dependence on plastics, particularly single use items, and the inability to effectively recycle or manage the waste.
First, what is plastic and how is it made?
Plastics are synthetic or semi synthetic materials that primarily use polymers as their main ingredient?
Their plasticity allows them to be molded, extruded, or pressed into various shapes, which, combined with properties such as being lightweight, durable, flexible, non toxic, and inexpensive to produce, have led their widespread use globally.
So they're cheaper than most materials, and I think that really makes, and they're durable. I mean, think about it. We're going to talk a lot about the different types of plastics, but I mean, they're cheap, they're flexible, they're
Hmm.
lightweight, they're durable. I mean, it is a great resource to have
Right.
until we don't know what to do with it when it's used. While most plastics are derived from natural gas and petroleum, a small fraction comes from renewable materials such as polylactic acid.
From 1950 to 2017, it's estimated that 9.2 billion metric tons of plastic were produced, with more than half of this amount produced since 2004.
In 2024, the world produced an estimated 220 million tons of plastic waste. Waste. This was an increase of a 7.11 increase from 2021.
That's
Uh,
wild.
I so bad wanted to say 7-Eleven. I wonder how many slushy cups are made of plastic. They're styrofoam though, aren't they?
Well, there's some styrofoam ones and there's some plastic ones.
You know
Um,
what would make a great episode to follow up with this?
hmm,
Styrofoam.
absolutely. If current trends in plastic demand continue, annual global plastic production is estimated to reach over 1.3 billion tons by 2060.
That's billion with a B.
Billion.
That is insane. Major applications of plastics include packaging, which accounts for 40%, and building and construction, which accounts for 20%. So I'm guessing the other 40 is going to be, like computers, your cars, the coffee pot, appliances, things like that. But 40% of plastics are packaging. And just a quick question here. How many times have you bought something that had unnecessary packaging on it?
Always.
Yeah.
Almost always.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you buy that's wrapped and then rewrapped. Like that makes no sense.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm not here to be on a high horse or anything. I'm just stating my opinion.
Nay. Sorry. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
No, it's funny.
Plastics have brought numerous benefits to mankind since the early 20th century, ranging from medical devices to lightweight construction materials.
For example, sewage systems in many countries rely on the resiliency and adaptability of polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC. And we talked a little bit about that during our plumbing episode that Kat
Hmm.
will never forgive me for.
Nope. Nope. At least soap on a rope is soap. Okay.
And I know you've called it out a couple of times now, but you did pick that one.
I did. I did pick that one, but I wasn't expect.
I ruined life for you, didn't I?
Just ruined the idea of the Roman age for me.
Sorry to keep bringing it up.
In any case, however, plastics are also a source of widespread environmental concerns due to their slow decomposition rate in natural ecosystems.
Much of the plastic produced has not been reused, with some being unsuitable for reuse and much ending up in landfills or as plastic pollution,
Plastic pollution, you say?
which is the basis of this episode.
Microplastics and marine plastic pollution, which create garbage patches in the oceans, are of particular concern.
Yes. Of all the plastic discarded so far, approximately 14% has been incinerated and less than 10% has been recycled.
Mm,
That is kind of disturbing.
absolutely. Only 14% and
Yeah.
less than 10%?
Well, some areas don't offer recycling. Like my area doesn't really offer recycling. I think it's coming to us soon, but yeah, I mean, what do you do in those situations?
In
Okay.
developed economies, about a third of plastic is used in packaging, with roughly the same amount used in buildings for applications such as piping, plumbing, or vinyl siding.
Other uses include automobiles, which can contain up to 20% plastic, furniture, and toys. In the developing world, plastic applications may differ. For example, 42% of India's plastic consumption is used in packaging.
Worldwide, about 50 kilograms or 111 pounds of plastic is produced annually per person, with production doubling every 10 years. Today, dozens of different types of plastics are produced, such as polyethylene, widely used in product packaging, and polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, used in construction and pipes due to its strength and durability.
Many chemists have significantly contributed to the field of polymer chemistry and physics, including Nobel Hermann Staudinger, known as the father of polymer chemistry, and Hermann Mark, known as the father of polymer physics.
How are plastics made? In the simplest way, plastics are made from raw materials like crude oil, natural gas, and coal through a process that involves polymerization, or the chemical combination of smaller molecules into larger ones.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. Ever wish your energy boost came in candy form instead of some can with sketchy ingredients? Look no more because energy rocks are here. This isn't your average energy product. It pops, literally. I was researching for a show the other day, struggling to stay awake when I tried these wild popping candy crystals called Energy Rocks. Within minutes, I was focused, alert, and wide awake. Total lifesaver. Energy Rocks are like pop rocks for grown-ups, packed with fast acting caffeine, B12, and L-theanine for smooth, crash free energy. Just rip, pour, and pop. No pills, no drink, no mess. With only 4 grams of sugar and flavors like pineapple, mango, and cherry berry, it's candy with a purpose. Perfect for students, gamers, busy parents, podcasters, or anyone who hits the wall. Pop, focus, go. With Energy Rocks, use code INFO on the go 20 off to get 20% off your first order or click the link in the show notes. This May, Spirit of 76 Fireworks is lighting up the sky with purpose, introducing Power of Pink, a dazzling 25-shot cake that supports breast cancer awareness year-round.
While October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the fight never stops. That's why Power of Pink keeps the conversation alive and honors those affected every single day.
A portion of every Power of Pink sale goes directly to breast cancer research and supports organizations. So when you celebrate, you're also making a difference.
Light up the night, spark change, the power of pink, because awareness shines brighter when we stand together.
Find a retailer near you at 76fireworks.com. That's 76fireworks.com. Hi, everyone. I want to tell you about a unique Father's Day gift, one that'll last for generations to come, and that's with tellmail.ai. Mail captures the stories, the memories, and the wisdom, and will put it into beautifully crafted chapters. You can turn these into a hardcover book that you can share for generations. My personal experience with Tellmail is going to allow me to be able to share my childhood memories with my children, my grandchildren, and hopefully their children. If you're looking for a unique Father's Day gift, look no further than tellmail.ai. Click the link in the show notes. And like I said, we're going to do a whole episode on plastics. So now let's just dig into the cause of the plastic crisis and what it really means. So I guess here we're going to get into some key facts about single-use plastics and where these single-use items may end up.
According to current data, around half of all plastic produced globally is considered single use, meaning approximately 220 million tons of plastic waste was generated for single use purposes in 2024, with roughly 50% of total plastic production dedicated to single use items like plastic bags, bottles, and food containers. So that is 110 million tons of plastic waste.
So single-use bags, it really bothers me. Like when I go to the store and I just buy one item, I don't want them to put it in a bag. Most of the time, my wife will take our reusable shopping bags. Now, not all the time. I'm guilty. I'm gonna say I'm guilty.
Me
And
too.
yeah, and I want to do better, especially after reading this and seeing some of the images and some of the stuff we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But that is crazy that 50% of plastic production is dedicated to single-use items.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I mean, it's uh, each person creates around 111 pounds of plastic waste each year. So, I mean, if anything, this just shows me that we as consumers can do better.
Yeah,
I mean, could you imagine if you actually really kept up with how much plastic you use and not just, throw it to the trash, had somebody else deal with it? You know what I mean?
that is, yeah, I'll be very mindful of that now. I know since we've been researching and talking about this episode, I've actually paid attention to a lot of the different plastics that I use and come in contact with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling.
Isn't it?
And
'Cause
we're going to get into some of the other concerns about all these plastics that are around us too, but what about recycling? That's going to be the question that everybody has, right? So
right.
in 2024, the amount of plastic recycled globally was less than 10% of the amount generated. The majority of plastic waste ends up in landfills or in nature. It's just it's hard to wrap your mind around it. It
Well,
really is.
especially since plastic's been around since apparently the 50s, and we knew long before at least 2020 that plastic was really hard to get rid of or break down in the environment. So I feel like there should have been more of a push in like at least the last 10 years to figure out a better recycling strategy for plastic. I mean, and not just by us as consumers, but by companies and their packaging plans too, you
Yeah.
know. Around 1 million single use water bottles are purchased every minute worldwide. A liter of bottled water contains about 240,000 tiny pieces of plastic.
We're going to get into those little tiny pieces of plastic and why that's important inside of those little water bottles.
Yes, hold that, pin that, put a
Yeah,
pin in it. Okay.
put a pin in that thought.
The types of plastic found in bottled water include polyethylene terephthalate or PET, polyvinyl chloride, and polystyrene.
Most single-use water bottles are recyclable. However, only 9% are recycled. The demand for sustainable water bottles is increasing, which is driving the demand for reusable water bottles. And I'm going to tell you, when I thought about that this is one of the things that I thought about because I am the world's worst when it comes to those little single-use water bottles. Like
Hmm.
they're just easy to grab and go, you know?
Right. Until you think about all the tiny microplastics in there.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about here in a minute. So I've been doing much better on that. I've been using reusable water bottles.
And something else that I thought about, if you have allergy issues and you're consuming a whole bunch of tiny microplastics all the time, that probably doesn't help your immune system with your allergies.
It definitely can't help.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The low cost of manufacturing and the longer life expectancy of reusable water bottles are increasing their popularity.
Reusing plastic water bottles or use bring your own reusable bottles. BYOB. Using applications like Tap to fill your reusable bottle, replacing single use plastic bottles with reusable water bottles can really help put a dent in it.
But I would also recommend putting a water filter on your tap water if you're going to use tap water.
Yeah, we do that here.
An estimated 5 trillion single use plastic bags are produced globally each year, which is the most commonly cited figure for annual production, although exact numbers can vary depending on the source and methodology used.
So the massive number means that if laid end to end, these plastic bags would circle the earth multiple times. So the widespread use and disposable of single-use plastic bags contribute significantly to plastic pollution in landfills and oceans.
12 million metric tons of plastic finds its way into the ocean every single year. 9.5 million tons of this enters the ocean from the land, with 1.57 metric tons going into the sea directly from the fishing and shipping industry.
That's crazy though. 12 million metric tons of plastic finds its way into the ocean every year.
Directly from the land.
Yeah, so I was when in researching this, I saw videos of these like clothes on the beaches, plastic bags on these beaches. That's
I
just
mean,
crazy.
and that's kind of where us as consumers need to be more mindful because of, what you're bringing to the beach and what you're leaving around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Leave it cleaner than you found it.
That yes. Yes. The camping rules 101, leave the spot better than what you found it in,
Yeah.
if not the same.
There are approximately 51 trillion microscopic pieces of plastic weighing 269,000 tons. Where do you think that's going?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Microplastics are tiny plastic fragments less than 5 millimeters, about the size of a pencil eraser in length.
They can come from various sources, including cosmetics, clothing, construction, food packaging, and industrial processes. Basically, everywhere.
Everywhere. Microplastics are classified into two types: primary microplastics, which are small from the start, like microbeads and plastic pellets, and secondary microplastics, which form from the breakdown of larger plastic items like bottles and bags in the environment.
These tiny particles cause pollution in water, air, and soil ecosystems where they can be ingested by animals and humans. And, like if you're eating fish from the sea or from the land, it doesn't really matter. I mean, these tiny particles of plastic have shown up in every living organism, and we don't yet understand the damage that they may cause.
Right. Microplastics are especially problematic in the oceans, with 35% coming from clothing fibers released during washing.
Because plastics degrade slowly, microplastics persist for a long time, accumulating in the environment and entering food chains. As we just said, you think about all the little plastic pieces that are in the ocean. The seafood comes along and eats the plastic. We come along and eat the seafood.
Ah, the circle of life. Additionally, microplastics can degrade into even smaller particles called nanoplastics, which are smaller than 1 micrometer and invisible to the human eye.
And this is where things take a turn for the worst. Despite their tiny size, microplastics and nanoplastics pose significant environmental and health risk.
Yeah, a study found that 93% of bottled water from 11 different brands contained microplastics.
Researchers discovered an average of 325 microplastic particles per liter. Among the tested brands were Nestle Pure Life and Gostlinger had the highest levels of microplastics with 930 and 807 particles per liter, respectively. In contrast, San Pellegrino products had the lowest microplastic densities.
Bottled water had twice as much microplastic compared to tap water. Another study detected 240,000 nanoplastic fragments per liter, with 10% between 5 millimeters and 1 UM, and 90% under 1 UM in diameter.
Wow. So bottled water has twice as much microplastic in it compared to that filtered water. That's another reason to stop drinking bottled water right there.
Right.
Some contamination likely comes from the bottling and packaging process, as well as from the filters used to purify the water. Yeah,
In 2020, researchers reported that polypropylene infant feeding bottles exposed infants to microplastics ranging from 14,600 to 4.55 million particles per day in 48 regions.
that is crazy. Microplastics release increases when the liquids are warmer and is similar with other polypropylene products such as lunch boxes.
In 2021, researchers found that silicone rubber baby bottle nipples degrade over time and from repeated use and steam sterilization, releasing micro and nano-sized particles of silicone rubber.
So I guess really you need to just pay attention to the packaging and I wouldn't overuse it
Right. Um,
because
I
it's
mean, they do make glass baby bottles still too. Um, I think the nipples are still rubber though. But I don't know if you're a little more conscious about it, they do offer glass bottles.
yeah. Using such nipples for a year could result in a baby ingesting over 660,000 particles.
Single-use plastic products like plastic cups and paper coffee cups with internal plastic coatings release trillions of microplastic nanoparticles per liter into water during normal use.
And I'm pretty sure most all of those cups have like a type of plastic coating inside of them.
Absolutely.
These products enter aquatic environments, contributing to plastic pollution. Local and state policies that reduce single-use plastics are effective in addressing this issue. Well, I'm thinking the plastic bags and the water bottles are the leading contributors to the waste,
Right.
and are the leading contributors to the problem. I think if we could, and I'm not saying go out and eliminate it all or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to be mindful of how we use these products.
Right. And how to safely recycle them,
Yeah,
since, like you said at the top, that they are recyclable.
but
So
only
that's
10% are recycled.
right.
On this show, we bring you the facts. That's what we do.
Yep. Plastics are widely used in the construction and renovation industry. Airborne microplastic dust is produced during renovation, building, bridge, and road reconstruction projects, as well as from the use of power tools. Materials containing PVC, polycarbonate, polypropylene, and acrylic degrade over time, releasing microplastics.
So, when I'm thinking about the construction piece of the plastics, when you're cutting those plastics, grinding those plastics,
Hmm.
all that dust has got to go somewhere.
To the air.
Yeah. And that's where you get some of those nanoplastics.
Hmm.
Single-use plastic containers and wrappers discarded during construction add to plastic waste, which is challenging to recycle and often ends up in landfills, causing potential soil contamination and the release of airborne microplastics.
Waste management practices are needed to address the environmental impact of plastic waste in the construction and renovation sectors. Efforts have been made to reduce plastic waste by incorporating it into concrete, but this may result in microplastic leaching.
I did not know you could put plastic in concrete.
I mean, you can almost seal anything into concrete.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're using, I mean, I get the leaching of the plastic, but I mean, if it's a bonding agent in concrete, I think that's a good thing.
Right, right. It does make it a little more durable and probably more weather resistant.
Yeah. Approximately 20% of all plastics and 70% of all PVC produced each year are used in the construction industry, with more expected in the future. In Europe, around 20% of all plastic produced are used in the construction sector, including various classes of plastics, waste, and nanomaterials.
Plastic bags can take 10 to 20 years to decompose, but they may require hundreds or even thousands of years to break down completely.
So when they're breaking down, when they're decomposing, we mentioned that it goes in the different stages and it ends up as nanoplastics. I just wanted to make sure I was right. And I'm about to give you some alphabet soup here. These bags are made from synthetic materials like high density polyurethane, HDPE, low density polyurethane, LDPE, or linear low density polyurethane, LLDDE.
That was definitely an alphabet soup.
Yes.
Unlike organic materials such as food scraps, wood, or paper, plastic doesn't decompose in the same way. Instead, plastic bags photodegrade into microplastics, which are tiny fragments of plastic found all over the world, including in the Mariana Trench and on Mount Everest.
So the deepest part of the world or Earth, the deepest part of Earth to the tallest peak of Earth. these nanoplastics have found their way, microplastics, I mean.
Hmm.
That is that is crazy.
Mind blowing.
That is extremely mind. Mount Everest, I can see because a lot of people are going there. I mean it's more so now than ever before, but the Mariana Trench, there's not anybody going there.
Right. We
Um,
haven't even actually found the bottom of that guy.
yeah, this sounds like an episode, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Microplastics absorb toxins and continue to pollute the environment.
Always.
Yeah.
Other plastic products also take a long time to decompose.
For example, plastic bottles take about 450 years. Takeaway coffee cups take about 30 years. Plastic rings take 400 years. Disposable diapers take 500 years. Coffee pods take 500 years or more. And toothbrushes take 500 years or more just to break down completely. I did not know that about coffee pods until this. And I never really gave a thought to toothbrushes.
Me either. I never really thought about toothbrushes, but I mean, it all makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, disposable diapers, I mean, I get it. I mean,
For sure. I mean, and they still make cloth diapers. They're probably more expensive now than they ever were.
but disposable
That
diapers are convenient. I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't use disposable diapers,
yeah,
but there's also the added chemicals that are on disposable diapers too that bothers me.
I mean, the coffee pods, I could probably work around on that. And
Well, I mean, you can also reuse them into seed starters. You don't even have to take the coffee grounds out.
huh, wow, that's a really good little hack there. I never thought
Yeah,
about that. I'm a gardener. We just talked about that in our how to
and
manage
it
pest
already has
control.
drain holes, so
That is, I'm gonna do that because I got some carrots I wanted to seed out before I put them in the garden. So I'll do that.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay, learn something new. That is the uh, that is the premise of the show, right?
Yes, yes. So why is it a big problem?
Plastic pollution is one of the most pervasive environmental threats affecting land, waterways, and even the air that you breathe.
It results from excessive plastic production, improper disposal, and the material's non-biodegradable nature. Here's a deeper look into its impacts.
Over 14 million tons of plastics enter the ocean annually, making up about 80% of all marine debris.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It,
Uh,
it comes from sources like discarded fishing gear, single-use plastics, and microplastics from personal care products and textiles.
so, Kat, have you ever heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch?
Yes, and it is astonishing,
It is
really.
a massive accumulation of plastic debris that's in the Pacific Ocean. Did you know that it covers an area twice the size of Texas?
I didn't know it was quite that big, but looking at the pictures you have here, I mean, it looks gross and it looks like it probably smells bad.
No, all right. So this is just the Great Pacific Garbage Patch that I included pictures here. There's other similar patches that exist in other oceans.
And one other various sources of water. I mean,
Yeah. And the biggest cause of this is, well, so let me ask you a question. And I know this is going to be a trick question. So, Kat, where do you think all this plastic comes from?
is it the rivers that feed the ocean?
Yeah. So, when people are on the river or whatever, most people think, oh, well, it's because we're dumping in the ocean. Yeah, we do dump trash in the ocean, but that's not the main cause of a lot of these garbage patches that are in the oceans. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it.
Microplastics have been found in drinking water, seafood, and even Arctic ice. They come from tire wear, synthetic clothing fibers, and broken down plastic waste.
Most plastic waste, about 79% of it, ends up in landfills or the environment where it can take centuries to decompose.
Centuries.
Centuries.
multiple hundreds of years. Wild.
Yeah.
Plastic Plastic mulch films, irrigation pipes, and packaging used in farming contribute to soil contamination, harming microbial life and crop health.
Marine animals, birds, and land creatures often mistake plastic for food or become entangled in plastic debris, leading to injuries, starvation, or death.
Plastics release harmful chemicals like bisphenol A or BPA and phthalates, which disrupt animal reproductive systems and can bioaccumulate in the food chain.
Hey, and just a quick shout out here. But you know how they used to have the little plastic rings on the 6-pack cans?
Yeah,
Pepsi now comes in
a,
cardboard
a,
little
a
boxes.
cardboard holder. I
Yeah,
do I do thoroughly enjoy that.
I do not like Pepsi, but I have a newfound respect for them.
I like Pepsi.
Okay.
I'm a Pepsi versus Coke kind of person.
No, I'm Coca-Cola all the way. And here we can just say that we agree to disagree. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Coke wins out. Is
It does not. It does not. You lie.
all right. Many countries incinerate plastic waste, releasing toxic gases like dioxins, furans, and heavy metals that contribute to air pollution and respiratory disease. Yeah. But I think the first step for me is going to be the plastic water bottles.
That is a good start. I would like to say I'd get rid of disposable diapers, but I'm not quite there yet.
Well, there's not a main contributor. If we just looked at the main contributors, disposable water bottles and single-use items like plastic bags and water bottles. Yeah, I know diapers are a single-use item, but the bulk of it is water bottles and bags.
Wind and weathering break plastic down into tiny particles that circulate in the atmosphere, leading to inhalation risks for humans and animals.
So these microplastics have found their way into salt.
Right.
Think about how small that is.
Well, I mean, if we're also talking about harmful chemicals, I can't say because California also did that paper straw thing. And while paper straws do sound like a good idea, the glue that holds them together is probably just as toxic.
I don't know what a good alternative would be.
Additives in plastics like flame retardants and endocrine disruptors have been linked to cancer, hormonal imbalances, and developmental issues. Well, I mean, if you're messing with the endocrine system, of course you're going to have hormonal imbalances. And
Absolutely.
with hormonal imbalances, you're going to have developmental issues.
There are efforts to reduce plastic pollution.
Many countries have banned single-use plastics, microbeads, and plastic bags.
Advances in biodegradable plastics, reusable materials, and better recycling infrastructure aim to curb pollution.
Organizations and volunteers conduct river and beach cleanups, and technologies like the Ocean Cleanup Project work to remove ocean plastic.
The ocean cleanup ensures that plastic waste they collect is responsibly managed and repurposed. Their approach includes
They aim to give the collected plastic a new purpose by recycling it into durable products. For example, they previously created sunglasses from ocean plastic as a proof of concept.
instead of producing their own products, they now work with partners to develop items using recycled plastic, allowing them to focus on their core mission of cleanup.
They oversee the processing of ocean plastic in accordance with their waste management policy, ensuring environmental impact is minimized.
This strategy not only prevents the plastic from re entering the environment, but it also helps fund further cleanup efforts.
It's a very thoughtful way to turn waste into a resource.
Yeah. The plastic crisis is a growing environmental and health concern that demands immediate action.
From single-use plastics to microplastics infiltrating our food and water, the impact of plastic pollution is far-reaching.
With millions of tons of plastics entering the oceans and landfills every year, it's clear that our current consumption habits are unsustainable.
However, solutions exist. Reducing single-use plastics, improving recycling efforts, and supporting policies that limit plastic waste can help mitigate this crisis.
By making conscious choices, such as using reusable bottles and bags, we can all play a role in reducing plastic pollution and protecting our planet for future generations.
I mean, we could use that. I don't know. I would like to do some more research into how to go trashless as consumers, because that it is possible, albeit it might be very inconvenient to change some patterns and some habits and all that good stuff as it is. But it's our job as humans and adults and consumers to grow and learn and do better.
I think for me, I think for me, just reducing or, being mindful of the water bottles and the single use bottles and bags, the single use items. I think
Yeah,
that's where I'm going to start because, I mean, plastic has been a life changing invention. For all the different medical resources we have, from pacemakers, I am not knocking plastics at all.
no,
What I'm saying is we need to be more mindful of those single use water bottles and bags. That needs to be the first step. Then we can take on other things. And I know there's research being developed with biodegradable plastics that are happening. I don't know how far along they are in their research, but I just think being mindful of that, being mindful of what's actually out there, and putting some thought into when you go to put it in the trash, where is it going to end up?
right,
And how long is it going to be there?
right. I mean, it's not just because it's out of your direct line of sight doesn't mean that it's going somewhere. It doesn't just disappear.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much all I've got on this one.
Me too. If you would like to support this podcast,
Click the support link in the show notes.
William and I want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Join the Facebook group and Info on the Go,
Share with us your show ideas.
or ask us a question.
Subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
Email us at
Info on the Go podcast at gmail.com.
till next time.
Stay curious.